Hello everyone. This is a new segment that I'm doing of my channel, and I'm calling it Speaking of Autism. And what this is about is I want to get feedback from the audience. I want to get feedback from all of you by asking a question and having you respond. Pretty simple. I just realized the first question I asked, I didn't put in my paper here. I can kind of wing it, I think. I posted this on a number of different Facebook groups, and I got limited responses, but, you know, it was the first time. What I'd like to do, I've got all written responses, and but what I'd really like to do is get people to send me videos, you know, of their response, so we can see you and hear you and hear it in your own words with your own passion and your own whatever. So anyway, the options I'm saying would be a video, you know, with audio, of course, you talking about what your response is. It's possible also just to send an audio response. You know, I mean, I think that's a capability of about every device that's out there now, that you can do an audio recording and send it to me as a file. I will include too where to send it at the bottom of this video, okay? Or the one section below the YouTube. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, that's the whole idea of this. Oh, and just other options, of course, is to send me text. Another option too, and this would be interesting. I just thought of this actually. I can sign. I'm fluent in sign. I was an interpreter for the deaf, and it'd be interesting to sign what my programs are, and get signed responses on video. Sorry, just something popped into my head. And another option too is, if you've got really something that you'd like to say, maybe a segment of this can also be me calling you. I'm trying to set things up now. This is my helper over here. Actually, that's my audience. He's both, she's both. I can't tell. Anyway. Anyway, so that's where I'm at on this. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And a seventh response is the one that I really want to highlight. Not that any of them are less, but this one was longer, and it speaks exactly to the reason I'm setting up this whole channel and the reason I'm doing these things. And my cat's about to fall off something. Yes, the studio cat, Timmy. So, what the question was if there was something that you could say to the neurotypical audience that was from your experience. This cat, he's blind cat. He's got claws this long. I kid you not. That guy, I mean, he just kind of, and I bleed. He knows it too. I really think he does know that. Anyway, cat distractions. Where was I? The response was, what would you say to somebody neurotypical? And these are what the responses were. Their names were part of these, so I'm just going to also include their names. Lindsay Holmes had said, "I'm challenging, but worth getting to know, and really do care deeply about others. I want connections with other people, but need space and time to get to know people." Okay? So if you're neurotypical, think of that. You know, a lot of times people out there really are trying their best to be social. You know, that's a very interesting topic, period. I know, you know, it's I hope that I don't want to make this as eventually this will turn into hopefully 100 responses that I have to try to squeeze into an hour of video. But for now, we'll do what we got. I just want to talk about this, though, and that is just personally. I've never been really, really social. Maybe because it is so awkward. I mean, I've had to go back into my past, and I think of when I was social. When I was social, it was during college. Was probably the most social time ever in my life, and that was a couple times. I was right out of high school. I went for about 3 or 4 years into technical school. I went through 2 different associate degrees. One of them was interpreting, another one was aviation maintenance, so I'm an aircraft mechanic. The other one was get a bachelor's in special education. And I remember being invited to parties, and this was, actually, I'm thinking back too, this was even back when I was right out of high school, still in my teens. And, it was that same feeling that I would get trying to look someone in the eyes. It's not like not knowing what to do, being so awkward that you can't even look away. Well, it's almost you're so awkward you can't even socialize because you don't know what to say. You don't know what to do. You know that, you're worried about what you look like, what your clothes are. It just goes on, and it just ends up being not something you go to because it's fun. It just, yeah. So, but the truth is, I did meet people. I did make friends. There's always that underlying bubbling lava, It's sort of like the mantle of the earth. But anyway, so that's what Lindsay is saying, is that, I'm challenging, but I'm worth getting to know. And that is so true on so many people on the spectrum. I guess it depends on what you value in relationships. Honesty, integrity, high moral values, people that are striving to be better people, people that are usually very intelligent, very sensitive, very on and on and on, have special talents. Matter of fact, a lot of times we want to talk about our special talents because that's what's sort of awkward for us. I think you have to also realize there's a level in the neurotypical world of communication that we are not comfortable with, or we don't find a lot of use in, which is sort of the, we'll call it the small talk realm, the strata of communication, that somewhere it's there in the small talk where, I guess maybe because we're so practical. When someone says good morning, it's like, well, it's still early yet. I don't know yet, Yeah, I guess it's okay. That's not what the question is it? And how long that takes us to find that out. Anyway, I am on a tangent. And I'm already 8 minutes into this. Okay, well, I'm going to hurry this up here. Shannon Anderson says, okay, this is critical. So think about this person's experience when you hear this. Shannon Anderson said that NTs live a life based entirely on deceit, to the point that people have lost the ability to be honest about anything. Wow. Yeah. That's not something that's meant to try to hurt NT people. This is her talking about her experience, how she feels. And, I'm just thinking about that, if I can agree with that to some degree. And, it's too generalized to say the NTs in any time. That's just like the nap of my hair in the nap of my neck, goes up. It's like no. It's not like all the people with autism and all the people who are not autistic. They're this, they're that. It's like, come on, really. What of anything is 100%, right? Taxes. Oh, anyway. Okay, so but to comment on that too, where I agree with that, I think it's some of it is a misinterpretation, some of it's a misunderstanding. I'll give you the perfect example. I know, and I'm not going to mention specifics to protect myself. I know somebody who I've talked with quite a bit that I finally have realized that they will say something. Okay, I'll do that. I'll check into that. I'll do this. I'll do that. And they really have no intention of doing it. And I've looked deeper into it, and it's actually a way of saying, no, I'm not going to do it. Which I'm still very confused about. Just say you know you're not going to do it. Or find a nice way of saying, no, I'm not going to do it. But don't say, yes, I'm going to do it with the assumption you're going to do it. You know what I mean? It's like, huh? It's like, but it also can be to say this to the point that I've lost the ability to be honest about anything. I don't know of anybody I don't know that many people. I'm serious. People, I know people, but to say people that I know on a first name basis, that I would call even casual friends, at least they'd fit on these, and might fit on this one. Hands, counting fingers. I think that's obvious. Yeah, okay. How far am I along into this? Oh, 12 minutes. Hurry. Kathy Moore says, I come across as arrogant and cold, but I'm just shy and lack social graces. Very important for NTs to realize. I would love to talk with Kathy and see if she realizes that this, I don't know this for sure, but is this a way to sort of protect yourself, a defense mechanism that you, as I can tell you, part of my masking that I realize, and that's it's embarrassing to talk about this. It's also a little bit sensitive for me to talk about because I went through a real period of realizing how much I was fooling myself, no one else, myself, by different things, different coping strategies, masking, okay? And let me see if I can give you an example of, just the fact that we don't understand the nuances of communication at a level that you say one thing and mean something else. That's extremely, extremely confusing for us. And I think maybe I've overcompensated in some ways. I won't say arrogant, although it may come across as arrogance and I don't even know it. Grandiose, I can do that. Now, here's a good example of being grandiose. I can do a lot of things. I can do just about, and I don't mean like I can be a concert pianist if I set my sights on it, but I can give you an example. I'm not an accomplished keyboard or pianist or anything. I can play. I can make noise, but I can do songs and things. I sat down once because I'm really fascinated with Scott Joplin's pieces, and I learned to play the Maple Leaf Rag in one sitting, 5-6 hours sitting. And then it wasn't the complete, there's like 2 parts to it. But I learned to play, when I walked away, I could play it. I remember my mom was listening to it, and she played piano all her life, and she couldn't play that piece. So, so I'm saying, so is that arrogance? I'll give you another example. This is when I remember I was in aviation maintenance. I think I said something about that. And we were in our class, and there were 2 guys that were trying to put this propeller and a big hub. This is like a 10-foot propeller, okay? Probably weighed, let's just say 80 pounds, And so there's two guys were trying to set this back on whatever it was they were setting it on to screw it back on. And I could tell that, I mean, anytime you try to thread a nut on something, if you have to be able to feel the orientation of that, where it's sitting on the threads and catches. And I said, wait. He says, I think I can do this by myself. And I remember one of the guys said, yeah, watch this. And I went, and it was on. And he went, well, and he was totally cool about it. I mean, it wasn't like he was like, but I can remember as a kid many times feeling like, okay, you can't show people this side of you, that you can do these things, because they just can't accept it. They can't. That's a real part. That is the kind of that is a capability that is within the autistic community that I think we need to be proud of. And the neurotypical people need to understand that we're not saying, you can't do this, or look at me. It's not that. It is like, okay, we're supposed to get this job done. Okay, well, I can do this, or let's do it this way. I've been thinking about this. But when a person says they've been thinking about it as autism, it might mean you may have done this just yesterday, but in that 24-hour period, there's a true possibility that for 24 hours that person's been thinking about it and processing it and going, oh, maybe this way. No, this way. No, okay, we'll add this. No, that doesn't work. And that's what our minds work, okay? We're just constantly fiddling with stuff and saying, okay, We do forget things like turning off the sound on our computer. We're not consistent. I didn't say that. No. Oh, okay. That was Kathy Moore. Okay. Susan Orchard. We have no filter, so we say what we're thinking without thought of how it makes others feel. But tomorrow I may think differently. Take what we say and think about it. It may change your mind, or you may find a way to change ours. Kind of what I was just saying. Okay? Cody Brown. Mine is the fact that I can't control things. Mine is the fact that I can't control things I can and cannot do. Okay, no punctuation on this. So I can't control things I can and cannot do. I mean, that to me speaks of the expectations that we place on ourselves. And I think everybody, whether they're neurotypical or autistic, feels that pressure from society to perform, to do something. There's an expectation. Sometimes that's unwritten or unspoken, but there are expectations out there. But I think when it comes to autism, because we're neurodiverse, because we operate on a completely different neurological system than somebody that is neurotypical, that we do things differently. We think things differently. We our concept of things and our sensory and everything is different. And those, you may say those are subtle differences, but they're the foundation of everything we build our lives on. And they're not simple. They're basic. They are the foundations of. So think about it in those ways. That when we remember that we're extremely, I guess you could say, task-oriented, or our focus, our concentration is so specific that when I'm at work, when it's time when I get focused on something, people just like, they seem to go, and they kind of know, like, okay, he's busy. It was kind of nice. I'm kind of getting the hint, like, now is not the time I want to talk about X, Y, and Z because I got paint drying, or I've got this going, or I've got 3 things going on, and I'm about to forget him just walking through the room, let alone you adding one more thing, So if somebody, if we come across as very direct, A lot of times there's a reason for it, and it's not personal. I think that's one of the things, too. We don't take things that personally between us because it's not intended to be personal. It's not like, I got one better than you. I don't think there's that kind of we're so in competition with just making sense of everything that we're not in competition with people. Maybe that explains it. I don't know, but take that for what it's worth. But thank you, Susan. Cody Brown said, mine is the fact that I can't control things I can and cannot do. Did I skip one? Yes, okay, Cody, we did his already. All right. Katya Keen. I want them to know that I don't know what is socially appropriate beyond basic modesty and safety. I don't know why so many real topics bother people, like pooping. Everyone poops. It's a non-aggressive topic, but it's not a socially acceptable to bring up for some reason. I was just talking about, you see, it's not, pooping. It isn't like the greatest topic that's out there, and everyone was talking about weather. Why not? Like, hey, good morning. How's your pooping? Yeah, okay, that one's not a big one there in the neurotypical world. We do it all the time in the autistic world. No, I'm just kidding. This is the one I really want to highlight. This is the one that means a lot to me. Angela Kipa. She is from New Zealand. Angela Kipa is from New Zealand. She's part of our Facebook group, ASD Village. So I know Angela. She said this: I wish that ASD was not so invisible to the world. I wish that I could be seen and therefore understood by all, so that the differences and behaviors could be accepted, and we could feel valued, not traumed. So we could share our brilliance and the way of thinking and doing. So we could be nurtured and supported and make friends and trust, and not end up being judged, traumed, bullied, or ostracized. So our need to be alone would not seem so lonely. So our pain is no more, and feelings of leaving this world would diminish. We're lovers, carers, protectors, inventors of the world as a whole. We want to make a difference, and those that are given the chance do and fly. Those who don't become depressed and die, literally or inside themselves. So we seek to make havens for ourselves and for others. Some of us are successful, but others cannot succeed in doing so because our ways are inappropriate, are not well received. Judgment and hate need to be replaced by understanding, acceptance, respect, and love. This is needed from all of us on this world. I'm going to reprint this I'll put that somewhere on in text so that other people can reread this. Thank you, Angela. Well spoken. Sort of summarize what my mouth was for the last 24 minutes. I'm so sorry. This is, I have to look what this is. This is Speaking of Autism, and this is your voices and a lot of mine thrown in. So that's your incentive to send me more of your voices, so mine isn't thrown in so much, okay? Well, thank you all for joining me on this first of many Speaking of Autism, and thank you all who sent me your responses. And we'll talk with you again soon. Bye-bye.